Bhagavan Api Vishvatma Loka Veda Patanga Kaman Saseve Vartvatyam Asakta Sankyam Asasita Bhagavan Api Vishvatma Lokaveda Patanaga Kaman Saseve Vartvatyam Asakata Sankyamashitaha Bhagavanapi Vishvatma Lokaveda Patanaga Kaman Saseve Vartvatyam Asakata Sankyamashitaha Bhagavanapi Vishvatma Lokaveda Patanaga Kama Seva Vartvatyam Asakata Sakyayam Ashitaha
Bhagavanapi Vishvatma
Lokaveda Patanaga Kama Seva Vartvatyam Asakata Sakyamashitaha Bhagavanapi Vishvatma Lokaveda Patanaga Kama Saseva Vartvatyam
Asakta Sankhya Mastita.
Asakata Sankhya. That's everybody watching. We'll do word by word sentence. Bhagavan, personality of Godhead. Api, also. Vishva Atma, the super soul of the universe. Loka, customary. Veda, Vedic principles. Pata Anugaha, follower of the path. Kaman, the necessities of life. Shusevi, enjoy. Varkratnyam, in the city of Dwarka. Akasata, without being attached. Sankhya, knowledge in Sankhya philosophy. Ashikaha, being situated. Translation and purport by Svagasi Sivakrama Swami Prabhupada. Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy. While Maharaj Yudhisthira was the emperor of the earth, Lord Sri Krishna was the king of Dwarka and was known as Dwarkadisha. Like other subordinate kings, he was under the regime of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme emperor of the entire creation, while he was on this earth, he never violated the principles of the Vedic injunctions because they are the guide for human life. Regulating human life according to the Vedic principles, which are based on a system of knowledge called Sankhya philosophy, is the real way of enjoyment and necessities of life. Without such knowledge, detachment, and custom, the so-called human civilization is no more than an animal society of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. The Lord was acting freely as he willed, yet by his practical example, he taught not to lead a life which goes against the principles of detachment and knowledge. Attainment of knowledge and detachment is very elaborately discussed in Sankhya philosophy as the real perfection of life. Knowledge means to know the mission of the human form of life is to end all miseries of material existence, and then in spite of having to fulfill the bodily necessities in a regulated way, one must be detached from such animal life. Fulfilling the demands of the body and animal life and fulfilling the mission of spirit soul is a human mission. So yeah, this is real nice. From the lectures that I've listened to quite a few lectures all the way up to these verses. And many verses had more than one lecture way and more than one sannyasi. And so they're making some really, really good points about the whole thing about knowledge and detachment. So in material society, what you have is a polished, unregulated animal life, right? And so, according to time and circumstance, is kind of like regulated to each individual rather than to a community, a global community or a national community. Each person has their own standards for their for time, place, and circumstance, right? And even then, most of everybody's like in ignorance, even on top of that. So they were talking about like how when Stalin took over Russia and Russia was communist, it was very, very strict. You couldn't even miss one day of work. So they were talking about how it's like one of the devotees, one of their uncles or grandfathers, was locked in his apartment and he couldn't get out. So he actually ended up jumping off the balcony and trying to get up to go to work because it's that bad. You couldn't stay locked up in your apartment and not be able to get out or be safe or just miss one day of work. Wasn't allowed. So that's the communist concept of a community. in God consciousness, they're talking about time, place, and circumstances on Krishna's terms. And then, according to that, and then he mentioned, a whole bunch of stuff. Brahmacharis, sannyasis, vanaprastha, grihastas, what was he talking about? Kshatriyas. He mentioned a whole list of stuff. Mercantile, cow protection, agriculture, farmers. He mentioned like this whole big giant thing. Right? And including the birds, the beasts, the rivers, the trees, the fruits, the vegetables. Right? Everything's actually going on according to Krishna's scheme, and everything's on Krishna's time, place, and circumstance, what Krishna wants. So then everything's working nicely, but it's not working nicely when each individual has their own isolation. Everyone's in their own isolation tent. We're totally in ignorance in the material world, influenced by different types of styles, and then we compare ourselves to everybody else according to, these styles, and that style's out of style, that style's something else. This bed here and that bed, and you go to the grocery store and just eat all kinds of nonsense. I've actually seen it. I didn't know what it was, but it's a box, it's a bird's nest. That's what the Asians eat, a bird's nest. I was just thinking about that when I was listening to Prabhupada on YouTube the other morning. Janaki's sister went shopping, but she couldn't find anybody. Was turmeric spelled wrong, or did she say turmeric wrong? Nobody knew what tamarack is or something like that. And I was kind of thinking that Prabhupada walks down to the Asian market to buy bitter melon and ginger root that he uses for his cooking. I said, well, why didn't you maybe go to the Asian store? I said, well, maybe it's on the way, or maybe she's not accustomed to going to the Asian market or something, So I was kind of thinking different types of scenarios, For some reason, maybe she just didn't think we're going to the Asian market. And, there was like, there was a verse that you must have a spiritual master, sa eva pagache. One must have a spiritual master. It's not it's okay if you didn't find a spiritual master in your area that's suitable. Right? It's like, well, okay then. It's like, no, you must. It's like, if you must get this milk, you have an order to get milk. It's like, milk a cow if you have to, right? But get milk. So it's saying, under in all circumstances, one must accept a spiritual master. Right? It's imperative, otherwise one cannot actually understand the transcendental message of Godhead, unless it comes through the proper disciplic succession of the power system. This is the way that Krishna set it up. And we can see according to our previous examples, whenever we saw Krishna's pictures, the pictures of Hanuman, we didn't know what they were. They would say, oh, what is this? Prabhupada, is this a cat? I was, no, it's a monkey, it's Hanuman. He says, how do you like this? In 1966, right? I'm surrounded by a bunch of confused hippies who just sit around and dazed in some sort of, they don't even know, it's some sort of a confusion, right? And got an associated with meditation, right? And sense gratification, and they don't even know the difference between a monkey and a cat. And he goes, and not only that, but they didn't know anything about Lord Chaitanya, and they bring back a picture from India, Shadabhusha, that's the 6-time form of Lord Chaitanya, holding flute, and bow and arrow, and loda, and staff. In fact, did you guys know this? That Lord Nityananda, he took Lord Chaitanya's danda. Actually, there wasn't anyone else to take sannyas from, so when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he got an eka danda, not a tree danda, right? So he, but that's not the reason why Lokachananda broke Lokachananda's danda. He told me he didn't need it. He broke his danda and threw it in the Jamuna. That's why Lokachananda, you don't see him holding the danda. Yeah, you can read about this pastime. Lokachananda breaking Lokachananda's danda, where you really think like, oh my God, it's the biggest tragedy ever in the world. Can you imagine somebody grabbing somebody sitting outside and breaking it? You know, what an event. So that's the whole idea about knowledge and detachment. To be detached from the actual proper realness. They were talking about the Maya bodies. The Maya bodies, artificial detachment. And then the bhaktas or devotees, the actual detachment is knowledge, vairagya, jnana, and vairagya, right? So one must be detached, but this philosophy and this practice automatically puts you on a detached platform. You know, it's just like, you know, and then everything starts, you know, you kind of start losing interest for other things, you know. I never really liked the ball game that much anyways, but I even hate the ball game even more. You know, or what is it, what was the other thing? Oh, drinking beer. What a nice day for a nice cold one, right? Sit down, you know, it's not really that good, that nice. It might be good going down, it's nice and cold, but then you don't feel so good. So that's not so cool. You know, kind of lose your attachment for that too, you know. And what is that? And getting around a whole bunch of people acting stupid. People are committing crimes that you got some sort of a scheme, you think you're going to get away with it. No, this is so dumb, you're going to get busted, you're going to get caught. You know, I mean, this is dumb. Right? I mean, you do something, yeah, it's big enough, that's what my parents used to teach us. Do something that was big enough and you know you're not going to get caught, otherwise you're going to go to prison forever and ever and ever. But don't mess around with the petty stuff. Why mess around and go to jail for 3 years for something that costs 60 cents at the grocery store? You're going, you know, go for the big thing, thousands of dollars. The big thing, the big drug deal. You know, don't mess around with the little stuff, go for the big thing. So my stepbrother, he steals helicopters. He steals the big things. He's like some sort of weird thing or something. Jai Gordon, Jai Jai. I don't know, unless he died or something. Some sort of criminal electronic wizard or something. The guy's criminal money. Some sort of criminal genius. Or what they call it, criminally insane. That's what they are. Criminally insane. So that's the material world. The material world are criminally insane. So you have the proper medicine is chanting Hare Krishna and proper diet is eating Krishna prasad. So it's only, did we start earlier or something? It's only 8 minutes after 8. So let's say a lot of different things that he was that they were talking about. Oh yeah, so they were talking a lot about the Mahabharata.
Is this a lecture by Prabhupada that you're talking?
No, they didn't have any lectures on Srila Prabhupada yet. Not until we get up to where we start talking about Sakya philosophy.
So you're talking about something you heard, but you didn't.
Oh yeah, these are the classes on Vaishnav from Srimad Bhagavatam class.com.
By who?
Oh, there was Bhakta Paringa Swami, and there was Govinda Swami, and I listened to a whole bunch of them. I've been listening to them all every day. Some of these verses have more than one class to them. I think I listened to text 19 this morning, and I listened to 2 classes. And they've been reading multiple verses, you know. Like this morning, one of the classes started. And text 19 actually started with text 18. So, you know, they didn't talk about the Mahabharata and, you know, the incidents that are being discussed now. So, Krishna wanted Maharaj Yudhisthira to sit on the throne, because Krishna desired Maharaj Yudhisthira be the emperor. So, they were talking about how the demons are a burden on the earth. says that even just someone who's a liar, who tells lies, is a big burden on the earth, right? Let alone a whole society of persons who are engaged in sinful activities, just big demons, you know, the philosophy of the material religion or atheism, you know, just burdens on the earth. So, Krishna wanted, who is it? He wanted to, who is it? Asvatama's father? Was it Dronacharya? Yeah, so he wanted to kind of throw Dronacharya off for a moment. So he asked Yudhisthira to announce that Asvatama has died. And he said, but Asvatama hasn't died. So the conch shell Krishna blew the conch shell just as he said, Asvatama the elephant. So the message that got across was Asvatama is dead. So Dronacharya, he was lamenting that his son had been killed. But it was just a play, just to kind of throw Dronacharya off a little bit, you know, in the battle. They were talking about this, how they were fighting fiercely, you know, violently and fiercely. They were very, very fierce warriors. Ferocious was the word. Ferocious warriors. I mean, just imagine a big, giant, ferocious Bengal tiger or something. You know, I mean, ferocious animals. So here's these big, giant, ferocious Kshatriya warriors. And they're throwing solid steel. They were talking about how the mace was made out of what do you say, what was it, lead? It was actually lead. Yeah, and the mace itself is made out of lead. Yeah, well, they were really big, heavy metals, you know, and then they're throwing these maces around and pounding them on each other's chests and stuff. They were breaking anybody else's ribs and giving them a heart attack or something. Knock the wind out of them permanently, you know. But they were throwing these maces against each other and stuff, and these arrows are made out of steel. So, you know, they were talking about certain things like modern warfare, you know, if there was like, if they had some sort of a protective force field that would keep the arrows from penetrating. So this is what the Kshatriya warriors were fighting with. You know, they have, what is it, the mantras, it's called Dharma Veda. It's the art of throwing arrows. So apparently you chant a mantra and throw the arrows, so then they're throwing so many arrows at the speed of mind, and these arrows were water weapons and air weapons and mountain weapons and tornado weapons. And Asvatama, he released a Brahmastra weapon to kill Maharaj Krishna after he was being chased for killing the 5 sons of the Pandavas. They're only just babies. He beheaded them. Not even Dronacharya, the crews, had appreciated this act. It was a heinous act that no one, it benefited no one, and no one appreciated it at all. So, and then Maharaj Krishna, he spent his whole life always looking for that beautiful person who he saw within the womb. So I was just listening to this lecture yesterday, which Srila Prabhupada was talking about. This is what was brought up, is if one is fortunate when one is with a new womb, they'll remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they'll pray to please be released from this uncomfortable position of accepting a material body and now being all packed up and wrapped up in a womb. And to please be released, and sometimes the pain and is so horrible being packed up in a fetal position, you know, in this bag of liquids. You know, then he just loses consciousness, comes back to consciousness. So modern society is saying, oh, the womb is a real nice place for the baby. They're floating around in, whether they try to duplicate this, called what is it, an aqua sauna or something. They have sauna, ultrasonic waves, and some alpha, delta sound waves that put you in a meditative, relaxed, concentrated state while you're in this flotation pod. You know, that this is natural, this is the way you were when you were a baby, you wanted to, right? They're saying it's a nice thing, it's a nice place, but actually it's not so nice. They're saying that the wife is in so much pain when she's in childbirth that she curses her husband, so she's never going to have another child again. You're never going to touch me like that anymore. You know, getting pregnant for the birds, forget that. You know, they vow never again to have sex again. So so that's actual real reality of things. You know, it's that the material world is not really a nice, happy place. It's all mental concoction. You know, the combination of the material desires that we have in association with our senses, well, it's misleading and erroneous. That's why they have principles to follow, why they have the instructions of the spiritual master, instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, one must be tolerant, or what is it? It's, well, without being disturbed. One must be steady, what is it? Not coming under the influence of the senses. Yeah, toleration, that's what Prabhupada said. It's a condition, a state of, to tolerate. You know, like the Prabhupada was talking about how the woman, she cooks in the kitchen during the summertime, and then during the wintertime, the person doesn't hesitate to take a cold bath in the river in the morning. Actually, that was real nice. I was traveling St. John, Canada, and there was snow outside, and everybody was using all the showers, and they put a pallet outside with a hose. So, I mean, you know, like a real quick one, you know, get outside real quick. But I was actually kind of like pretty blissful and invigorating. You know, it wasn't really that cold. I guess I was always cold all the time anyways, but I just got used to it. But it's kind of invigorating. It's kind of nice, kind of fresh air. So, you know, take a cold shower, the water goes out of the pallet outside in the snow. I'm quite sure they do that all around the world, in other places where there's always snow and it's always cold. So what we're going to be getting to when we discuss the Sankhya philosophy, that's going to be coming up, is that in the teachings of Kapila Dev, the actual real principles of the process of the Sankhya philosophy of yoga is bhakti yoga, or devotional service. So there's different forms of devotional service, worship of the deity, cooking for the deity, you know. We have book distribution. So, you know, there's different processes, but it's all devotional service. But to get to that, you know, there's adverse fruitive activities. You know, the person, he's born pitifully, all wrapped up in the womb, and he comes out and has to go to school, and you get knocked around when you're a baby, nobody understands what you really want. And so they give you the wrong thing. You know, it's not the thing that you wanted, you know. And this things kind of happen even when you can talk too, or you start to talk, you don't get the right thing. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, then you have to go to school, you have to be educated, you have to deal with all that stuff. Jai Gauri, Jai Jai. You know, the system of today's public schools, I don't know what program they're on, but they're not doing anything about the school bullies. You know, they're not doing anything about stuff in the jails. You know, I mean, people aren't being protected properly. You know, you fend for yourself. You know, it's like good luck because there's more of them than there are you. You know, so that's modern society. And then, having lived this horrible, terrible life, oh yeah, then you go to a job, get a job, and you marry, and have a family, and you sacrifice so much to maintain your family. Then you go to old, and your family scorns you because you're no longer taking care of them the way you used to, and they hardly even scraps, and the biggest wishes didn't even exist. And then you die. Right? Then you leave your body and you go to hell as you did before. Right? So I flipped another mistake. You know what I mean? It's like, again, I made another mistake in the human form of life. And now I'm going to hellish conditions. And the young do this, they'll definitely explain it to you. They chastise you verbally and physically and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So we had these big giant hooks in these trees and tear you apart like razor blades, you know, and scorn you and chastise you and yell at you and throw you off of big giant high mountains, which are actually like planets falling through space. There's people there, they have these nightmares, a common reoccurring nightmares falling. And they're very, very afraid of these dreams of falling. I've never had a dream like I fell, and was really, really scared, but that's the way they explain it. I've had dreams where it's kind of like a reflex, you know, like I slipped in the snow or fell on the stairs or something. And you kind of slip, kind of wake up, and I kind of like go with a jog. Yeah, they're saying you can't wake up, they're having this nightmare, they're falling. So yeah, it's a common thing, you know, these are reactions to sinful activities, you know, like that being put into distress like that. So, you know, it's probably some sort of remembrance or they're getting some clues that, you know, you better follow your spiritual master, and follow the Vedic principles because this is what's happening. This is what modern society is doing to you. The so-called modern religions, they can't really tell you much, or tell you the real thing, or, I don't know, coming across more and more information about, forbidden banned books from the Bible, like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that. It's not the whole truth, and even then, from what I understand, is that the so-called greatest story ever told has actually been told many times before. You know, a person was actually conceived by angels or by God, and then was actually took their birth in a humble position, and then some wise men showed up with gifts, and so they have these parallels. Apparently this is some sort of information, it's some sort of very, very strong pagan mystic witchcraft that actually controls your mind to control society. These specific images, you know, every year is not all about the present. They want to tell you about the stories that are told, whether or not you're a Christian, a Catholic, or a Jew, or a Buddhist, whether or not you don't believe in God or ever heard of Jesus before, right? They're going to explain it to you in the TV shows. You know, I remember even seeing Charlie Brown, and you know, and all the characters of Charlie Brown were all enacting the divinity scene. Oh yeah, what have they done now? They made the divinity scene illegal, so now they can't have the divinity scenes or whatever or something. So I don't know, they're doing something. You know, the actual karmas, the demons, this is where the karmas and demons act and operate. You know, there's double standards in society. You know, what's okay for most people, but it's not okay for you. You know, I can see how I'm actually considered to be dangerous, because I don't seem to have that lame look on my face. I seem to have more of a determined look on my face than other people. I see these dumb, stupid people. You know, they've got families, right? But they're always arguing and bickering, and they're dumb and they're stupid. They don't have any common sense, but apparently they have some sort of academic abilities. But they can't even really manage your supervise either. They're real failures at everything. They can't do anything right. In fact, that's the whole thing about society. They just want a bunch of people who just can't and won't do anything right. you know, like that. So I can see why I would consider it to be dangerous. You know, it's you know, it's more determined look on my face. You know, so. I guess that's the way the criminals look. The criminals and people that don't have any feelings and are baby killers and rapists and stuff like that. So you can put me in a category with that, and so that's fine, as long as you keep your distance stay over there, and then I can set my own time, place, and circumstance according to my spiritual master's directions and instructions. And I'm trying to tell you guys in the world praying about this, you better get it straight, because it's coming. You're wasting your valuable human form of life again, which you're going to find out again and again. I mean, how many times into the far-fetched future, these weird science fiction fantasies are going to continue taking your birth into Kali Yuga, and again waste our visual material bodies, even form of life, again in sense gratification and simple activities. So, I don't know, are we all God conscious now? Are we all situated on the transcendental platform? Not after all that? Gee, you're going to be hard to persuade. Yeah, actually, it's not true. That's Goswami was saying something. There's one of the Guru trainers in this Punjabi Hare. He says, how about if we give you a rascal? Would you be happy? And he goes, how about giving you another rascal? Are you more happy? He goes, yeah, how about another rascal? He said, that makes three. Okay, how about another rascal? All right. So, well, aren't you getting kind of tired of rascals yet? Okay, here's another rascal. Another one? How about I give you the 10th rascal? How is that going to be? And he started shaking his head. No. But he said, he's going to be a hard one to convince. There's some sort of thing that takes place like satiation. It's really nice. It's really cool. So, what is it? What's nectar in the beginning? What's in the beginning? It's passion. What's poison in the beginning with nectar in the end is the mode of goodness. And what's just simply distressful from the beginning to the end is in the mode of goodness. So in beginner spiritual life, taking cold showers and refraining from sinful activities, which we are so much accustomed to, that think there's anything wrong with it, right? Kind of changing things around a whole 180 degrees, setting something that, it kind of seems to be foreign. Actually, it's foreign, it's transcendental to the material world, but it's what makes the material world operate and act in a more conducive way. That's the whole idea about Maharaj Yudhisthira performing 3 Aswamedha sacrifices. Is that by performing the Aswamedha sacrifices, the conditions of the environment improve and becomes more conducive to God consciousness and cultivation of spiritual consciousness. So right now everything's all out of whack. What is it? The waterbed issues are the depletion of the polar ice caps, the melting of the glaciers and all that stuff, right? And pollution. Prabhupada was talking about everywhere in the world, everywhere he went. He was talking about Hudson Bay and Manhattan and the Thames, right? I think he mentioned Australia and in England and New York, right? All these Boston, everywhere it's all polluted. The rivers are all polluted, right? And the air, I guess now they're monitoring the air quality, but I guess that's what caused a whole lot of problems. The burning of gasoline engines. They had electric engines and water engines. Now they're going back to some sort of electric engine. Whether or not that's completely safe or not, but they used to have chargeable electric batteries on motor vehicles. But somehow or other, now that's the whole idea with the whole problem in the Middle East. Talking about the intelligence of simple individuals. Whatever the whole deal is about the production of gasoline and oil from the oil fields in the Middle East and the condition of the turmoil in the Middle East, what are they all fighting for? The resources they want to control the opium fields, they want to control the oil fields, you know. What is that? There's assassinations. This had happened in modern age, in modern politics. Assassination isn't an uncommon thing. If anybody else gets killed or murdered around here, it's called killed or murdered when you find somebody and tell them to murder. But when it's for political ends, you know, certain terrorist organizations take responsibility for certain bombings and so many people being killed. Yes, like he just tried to see how far you get, right? There's different degrees of this thing, legal or illegal murder, killing, without, you know, like that. So this thing is kind of going around. And yeah, Krishna says that Baba said politics is a dirty business. But politics, according to the Varnashram Dharma, according to Krishna's instruction, Tamani's Tamita, then the whole world and the universe, you know, will act in a more conjointly way rather than the polluted current condition of Kali Yuga. So, any questions? You have a chance on the platform now? Yeah, a question? Or did you have a question?
Yeah. Well, earlier you were making a point about the criminals. And I was wondering, so reminded me of one particular verse in Bhagavad Gita which says somebody's engaged in devotional service but they commit vulnerable activities, they should still be considered. And I was wondering how, so if that's the case, how one shouldn't is a devotee who is in the devotional service but he commits like criminal activity?
Oh, I don't know. I know they have Ishkan is working with the governments of the states to enforce specific policies regarding committing criminal activity. You know, I guess they have their, what do they call it? Their spokespersons, or, you know, like when Kirtananda was, what do you call it? Excommunicated from Newbern. You know, he said, well, unfortunately, you know, we really appreciate his activities and Srila Prabhupada Leela, but unfortunately he was involved in some criminal activities and the authorities are involved in asking us to, you know, clean up the situation and try to improve, you know, the quality of our centers. You know, that this sort of thing doesn't happen, you know, so, you know, from what I understand is they're, you know, we're respectful because there's Vaishnavas, certain specific Vaishnava etiquette, chanting Hare Krishna, you know, to one point to another, following regular principles, you know. Now that they've understood that they've committed a mistake, you know, we used to call it a misconception of philosophy. You know, certain things that have transpired, you know, like sexual molestation of children in Gurukul schools. That's a pretty big manifestation of misconception of the philosophy. You know, I don't know where you're getting that. Where that comes under no illicit sex, you know, where that fits the bill somewhere or something. You know, some sort of eat by rug or something. I know some of these children are pretty upset. Some of them, I guess, are well adjusted, but some of the children are not adjusted very well because of it. You know, so, yeah, we just kind of hope and pray that, you know, the movement stays pure. You know, purity is for somebody to be devotees will cause that impurity is forced. You know, they're talking about like so many other things, you know, going on a Sankirtan, jumping out of a van, running around the parking lot and lining people all day just to get the money from them, give them a book. You know, they're talking about that in, what is it? I don't think it was actually like the early days, but somewhere around the time, you know, they were saying it doesn't matter what you do to get the money from the karmis and give them a book. You know what I mean? So, you know, I guess there's this thing called change up. Saying, hey, listen, all I got is like this, I got like all this change here, you know, like all these ones and fives. Can I maybe give you $100 for that $100 bill, or maybe give you $50 for that $50 bill, or maybe $20 for that $20 bill, right? But they don't give them all the money back. And he says, is that okay? And just, you know, they're just fed up, you know, messing around with this guy who's like screwing around with them, you know. So it's like, oh, screw it, just keep it, you know. You know, you guys, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's not a very good representation of our movement or who we are or what we're about or Sri Prabhupada's saying in his books, you know. I guess Sri Prabhupada actually apologized after there was any discrepancy, you know, in preaching efforts, you know, disciples and the temples, but, you know, hopefully these things become purified, you know, like that, you know. So, you know, the whole thing, you know, begins like, you know, with ourselves, make sure that we're on a nice, we're on the proper platform, you know. And there are other temples that, you know, I've been in, everybody's just going around pointing fingers at everybody, and just like, what are you talking about? You know, you know, where they changed my day off from Sankirtan, so I came out of the temple one night, evening program, and, you know, I know that they've had book, you know, cake bakes every now and then and stuff, so I thought they were having one of those cake bakes out for them. And Gopal going, oh, you rascal, Roshan Dev. He's going, what are you doing that dollar? The dollar for Mahaprasad. I'm going, huh? I don't have a dollar. You know, what are you talking about? I'm just going out of the temple, having a cake bake, and I'm going, turns out that they do this every week on this specific night. They changed my night off from, they changed my day off from Sankirtan, so now it's around this night now. You know, I never knew it. I never saw it before, you know. And they're going, huh? You know, well, we found some sense gratification when we believe it's yours. You know, what are you talking about? You know? So it's like, you know, there's you know, I got some pretty serious resentments, you know, like resentments. So I guess, you know, because I was kind of thinking about that, you know, so I was telling me, well, all your godbrother's going to go back home back to Godhead, and you're going to stay in the material world. And actually, it's kind of right, because the persons are, these are people that a lot of devotees have a lot of resentments against, because they were screwing around with everything around everybody. You know, as the other devotees in the Sankirtan ashram that I was in, and brahmacharis and brahmachari ashram, and, you know, people stealing from everybody and lying from everybody, cheating everybody and stuff, you know, it's like, you didn't even want to associate with anybody anymore, everybody's completely like ridiculing, you know, here read, now they're ridiculing you on reading, or what you're reading, or how you're reading, or, you know, it's like, just whatever, you know. Yeah, you know, just like I told you, yeah, the Yama Judas are real, alright, this isn't the dream, this is real. You know, so maybe they need to get used to it. Maybe they should listen to what they're actually saying. You know, so, you know, hopefully these things are purified. From what I actually really read, tried to understand the situation, they're talking about like some sort of social dysfunction or something. You know, the mad runaway condition of Ishkan temples. You know, the neophytes, they simply only just argue, you know, is a symptom or something. But, you know, if we can just, you know, avoid that, you know, because, you know, or get caught up in that sort of space, you know, in some environments where that's going on, you know, if we could just remove ourselves from it, you know, right? Because you're not going to be able to stand up and fight against and change anything. You know, that's you know, it's going to have to come from a higher level, and when our GBC and other local officials are reminded too, and they don't think there's anything wrong with it, and you're really not going to get anywhere with it. So that's pretty much the situation. So we just, remain respectful, follow the Vaishnava etiquette, and pray that these things don't become manifest, that they purify them, become purified, and not to engage in these things themselves. So does that answer your question? Give you a pretty good description of the outside movement outside of RBC. Actually, there's some temples that are really nice. I was involved in some really nice situations, but then when I came back, it was a different condition. It was different. The whole thing was different. So, Srimad Bhagavatam